Hello, a very good evening to you and a warm welcome to Business Focus. This is your most authoritative business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. So tonight, now after the central bank finished with its banking sector reforms, which saw a number of banks being closed down and others being consolidated, there are already fears that the microfinance as well as the savings and loans industry is the next to be hit. There's a lot of uncertainty about how the central bank is going to do that, but they have indicated quite strongly that they're also going to clean up that part of the financial sector. Tonight we'll be talking a bit about the savings and loans and microfinance industry. What's the state at this moment, and what does the central bank intend to do? What are the ramifications of the central bank's actions, and what would it mean for the general financial industry? I've got a number of guests to help us do that discussion. We'll also be taking a quick pass through the Ghana, through the ports. As you may be aware, Cabinet has approved the Unipass port clearing system amid lots of controversies. What will be the implications of this latest approval at the port? We'll also be speaking to an analyst on this developing story. This is Business Focus, your most authoritative business and economic analysis program. We'll also do some analysis on the stock market as well as the commodities market. We've got a mover segment also coming up in the next 45 minutes. We'll take a short break, we'll bring you the summaries, and then we'll delve straight into our discussion for the day. So you're welcome back to Business Focus, your weekly business and economic analysis program live here on TV3. We'll start off with happenings at the ports, and as I indicated early on, Cabinet has approved the implementation of the Unipass port clearing system amid lots of controversies. Let's get on the phone lines now and speak to Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah, who is president of the Ghana Institution of Freight Forwarders. He's live on the phone lines. Thank you very much, sir, for your time, and good to have you on the program. So, is the institution of freight forwarders concerned about the impasse between Unipass and West Blue?
Thank you very much. Good evening. Yeah, to the extent that it doesn't disrupt the situation at the port. You know that our standpoint has always been for a predictable environment in which to do business.
All right. Kindly hold on for me, and viewers, if you just joined us, let me just give you a brief background to this whole impasse between Unipass and West Blue. So the Ghana Revenue Authority was directed to suspend the implementation of the Unipass port clearing system, which was initially scheduled to start on January 1, 2019. Now, the suspension had been brought about as a result of legal, operational, and other policy issues. The decision to suspend the implementation of the Unipass system and allow for the use of the existing national single window was to allow time for Cabinet to scrutinize the 10-year sole-sourced Unipass deal. Now, on February 7, Cabinet approved the implementation of the Unipass port clearing system, which was initially scheduled to start on January 1. Now, the Finance Ministry has written to the Ghana Community Network Services Limited, that's GCNet, and West Blue to prepare to hand over to Unipass. Now, the two agencies have for the years built the systems to aid the smooth running of the ports by the Customs Division of the Ghana Revenue Authority and the Ghana Ports and Harbours Authority. The approval of the Unipass by Cabinet comes as a shock to many, because even though the implementation of the Unipass port clearing system was initially scheduled to start on January 1, 2019, it got suspended due to all these challenges that I've just enumerated. Let me get back on the phone lines and to speak to Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah, who's president of the Ghana Institution of Freight Forwarders. So, how is this likely to impact on work at the ports?
My brother, you know, on the 20th of December, we were called by the Customs Division to be given a presentation of the Unipass system, because it was ostensibly it was going to take over the system that we had on the ground today. That was 20th of December. When we went, see, I'm going to have this conversation with you, mindful of the fact that it has assumed a legal situation now. But on that day, what was demonstrated to us, it didn't suggest the complete takeover. It indicated to us a vendor being displaced by another vendor. And, I mean, predominantly, we didn't see any difference in what was being presented to us. And we voiced our surprise, which the gentleman who was doing the presentation actually confirmed. He also used the word, "who is the same." And we all laughed and joked about it, but I had to leave there in good time for another meeting. Okay, so hearing that Cabinet has okayed it, and you are now reading that to take over the two systems, I am just hoping and praying that we do not have a situation of folks being misled, you know, because it will be dangerous if what was shown to us. Of course, between 20th December and today, so many things can happen. If so many things have happened, we will have to be made to know these so many things that have happened for the smooth running of systems in the port. Okay, but if we should hear that Cabinet has okay, because we saw the decision note from the economic management team, which was released on the 19th, or I think, of December last year, either 18th or 19th. We saw it, the demands of the decision note. Have the demands been satisfied? Okay, because these have also been our anxious points right in somewhere May 2018. We released a document asking for these same questions to be answered, for which we never got answers to. So if Cabinet is satisfied these questions have been answered, we will want to know how they've been answered. So we know that going forward, these are the systems that we're going to use within the port and all of that. That is barring whatever decision that the court takes.
If what was presented to you, is fundamentally different from the decision that Cabinet has taken today, then that would be an expression of bad faith.
On whose part?
On the part of government?
No, if like I'm saying, on the 20th, what was presented to us was not an alien system. It's the system, the placement of data element, the flow, and everything.
Yes, and you're saying that what you were told was not a complete takeover.
What we were shown last year was going to start from the pre-arrival assessment reporting system and get hooked onto the GCNet system, which we currently have in place. So if you are by what you just read, if we are being told that GCNet is also being asked to go, then we will know what is replacing GCNet system. Okay. Otherwise, we cannot just be told that these systems are going to be scrapped without having been demonstrated to the system that is taking over. And you know, these things take time to get used to. Okay. And in my preamble, I stated something that the system will have to be predictable. The environment within which we work shouldn't be like today you come to work and you have a different system to contend with. No, we cannot have such an environment. And it is bad for business. It is bad for the economy.
Are you able to quickly just refresh our minds? We know that this particular policy was supposed to have been implemented on the 1st of January 2019, and it got suspended due to a number of legal and operational challenges. What were the specific challenges for which reason Cabinet had to hold on to this?
You see, like I mentioned, when there are a few questions that we asked in May 2018 when we had rumor that Unipass was going to come to town. We did the paper and we pointed to all and sundry where the difficult points were. You know, we had just deployed paperless, okay? Paperless was just an additional flip or a shot in the arm of the single window system that we have been, that has been grinding since 2002. Okay, so if you say you are changing the system, what we said was that it was not so much of an IT problem. Okay, many a times when people who have interest in all of these want to speak, they want to equate multiple vendors to multiple problems that we have on the ground, but that is not it at all. All you have to do is to make sure systems integrate and are running well. Once you get that done, that's it. You don't integrate systems 2 times or 3 times. You get it done once, and that is it. And this is the song we've been singing all this while. That look, if the systems integrations is problematic because of the various agreements that you've signed with different entities, all you have to do is to normalize these things and let people have tenure, guarantee of tenure. Let people see that, look, for the next 10, 15, 20 years, if we're all going to be in this space, this is how much we have in what we have invested in, okay? But you do not throw these things away and then come up with an excuse that because we have multiple vendors, because we are always going to have multiple vendors. You see, as I speak with you, the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, we have our own system in place. The Ghana Ports and Harbors Authority, they have their system. The shipping lines have their system. The terminal operators have their system. So, you see, we are not in communist Cuba where the states want to whip everybody in line to come on one system. Forever, people are going to develop independent systems. But what is useful about all this thing is that we must have an integration point. We must observe common protocols. This is what the state must do, and not to unnecessarily, you know, make it look like the environment will have to be whipped in such a manner as to take somebody out, brings another person in, whereas what is being brought in is the same thing. Okay.
Very quickly, we've got to wrap up. I know the legal tussle is still ongoing. If this policy has to be implemented as it stands, what do you intend to do as freight forwarders? Any intentions of engaging the Trade Ministry, you know, to have, you know, a rethink about the policy again?
See, if this thing will have to be done, it must be done well. I mean, as we speak now, it is just as if another bout of confusion has just begun, my brother.
I've got to say a big thank you to you. Kwabena Ofosu-Appiah is president of the Ghana Institution of Freight Forwarders, joining us on the phone lines to share his own perspective about the latest announcement about Cabinet giving approval for the implementation of the Unipass port clearing system. You're still watching Business Focus, your most authoritative business and economic analysis program. We'll take a short break. When we return, we will look at issues within the financial industry. We'll be back shortly.
Aya woti ya wo be mem ana ya imo hyehyew wo sensu fitaa bi firi mu ba gugu nso ntentem ana ya gugu nso a na emu ache woti ya wo sabe wa ya ase esese wo bobrim se bi ana wo prostate ana hu aba ha wo aya na wonsa ana se wo na ya ye titiri waposo tutu wonante a na wa ye dududu aya se bibi ne na mo widie mu ebia na stroke yade na ebo won kaye Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic ewo nimdi ode beboa wo Endpoint Ewa Crass Pinterest Road Shell Signboard Tema Committee 22 Koa Naso Hotel Echi Kumasi Chronom Abuenya Angel School Complex Sakrade Endpoint Ewa Anaji Queen of Peace inside Anaji Police Station Echi Pe Techimine Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic Ewo Hensa Eni Just Bro Filling Station Ene Dinhwanimu For Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic Ewo 0244 867068
Endpoint Homeopathic Clinic. I'm free.
Rocksters, the largest roofing manufacturing company in Ghana with unbeatable standards in the building industry. We give you free transports, installations, and after-sales service. Rocksters offers you AZ150, the right protective coating to prevent your roof from rusting. Where other roof coatings fade within 2 years and rust in 10 years, AZ150 is proven to last over 40 years without showing any signs of corrosion. We sell AZ150 at the lowest price in the industry. Visit any of our offices in Accra, Kumasi, and Takrady. Call us on 0243-690-402 or 3. Still 0302-410-866. Rockstars, quality and affordable.
Enya ufo nyina na etimema omoma energy nanso mame fo mu use baby fit diaper de emrekra emufra se omo ho baby fit diaper any sleepy baby wipes ena yi omo ha nyina free ya baby fit diaper yi pa entiema kwan ama bibia amfa ho emoto eya sawo mu a entiema mu fra ho pa ya ne said ya amfa matimi fam abranyina Baby fit atabino, emochi, enti afeti abufrebia.
Baby fit baby diaper, and no and obatampe bia here. With the sleepy baby wipes kahwa, na fa, anyhow.
Baby fit diaper and a sleepy baby wipes. Emma mo franguto, I'm bringing you now.
Yeah, Collins. Oh. Baba Ghana, Malande, but me will have me person me claim me near Manansa. Oh, when you make brush up, we near my papa. I'm off for media Franco Trading Enterprise. On one me have me have me home Conantia butchering to phones and laptops. As I'm a trade duty or her, and I have to show our Franco Trading Enterprise. Massa, so who pay phones to two, who pay laptops to two, TV. Any pen drive, any external hard drive, near my papa, dear Massa, Franco Trading Enterprise. No more near my F1 a year. Yeah, when you near Mano, Miss Shipness, you are more clear near Mano.
All right, so you're welcome back to Business Focus, your weekly business and economic analysis program. So the financial system was under considerable states of distress, with banks that were not meeting the capital adequacy requirement and others whose capital was eroded with very high non-performing loans. Now, some of these banks were insolvent and illiquid. Others were also solvent but illiquid. The ongoing banking sector reforms, which just ended, saw the setting up of a minimum capital requirement at 400 million cedis instead of the 230 million as originally intended. So a number of new regulatory and supervisory laws that were introduced by the past management are the very ones that are being applied for the resolution and restructuring of the banks. Now, we had 7 banks who were put under the Consolidated Bank of Ghana. 2 banks were taken over by GCB, while 1 was downgraded to a savings and loans company. Now, the focus appears to be on savings and loans companies. The central bank is expected to take action on insolvent savings and loans companies and finance houses, an exercise that will require about 2 billion cedis, we're told, to secure the funds of depositors. Currently, there are 37 savings and loans companies and 23 finance houses operating in the country. While some remain very strong, there are a few with liquidity challenges and are unable to meet their obligations to clients. There's a possibility that the central bank will introduce new regulations for savings and loans and finance houses. The regulator is likely to set a new minimum capital for savings and loans companies as well as finance houses. All right, so let me just quickly introduce to you Akofa here. She is a senior member, Chartered Institute of Bankers. She joins me in studio. Pretty shortly, we'll be introducing another guest also, Trinibua Akodia, who is director of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies. I'll start off with you, Akofa. So you are within the microfinance industry. What is the current status?
Good evening to our viewers. After the sanitization of the banking sector, the expectation is that the rod is going to be on the microfinance sector, including savings and loans. So there is a high expectation that Bank of Ghana is going to take steps that would either benefit some institutions or lead to the collapse of others. But for us, the practitioners, we have a good understanding that Bank of Ghana coming in with the right measures, the industry can only be better.
All right, so let me just quickly introduce to you Trinibua Akodia. He's director of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies, TK they call him. Good evening, thank you very much for your time.
Good evening.
You operate within the savings and loans industry. Tell us, what's the status currently?
Good evening to your viewers. As my colleague Akofa said, currently all the various players are preparing themselves as it has always been. The reality is that in banking, you should always prepare for ensuring that you comply with directives, regulations, and all other policies that come. And so the savings and loans companies have continuously been preparing themselves to comply with the various directives that the regulator has issued during the reform process. A typical one has to do with the corporate governance directive. We have other one that called the fit and proper directive. We have issue with capitalization and all those things. And so as we speak now, for instance, all the various directors of the savings and loans companies across the country are going to be trained again in the corporate governance directive. This is something that we believe that as we progress, they will continuously churn out good policies to govern their respective institutions.
What are the current challenges confronting your space?
I wouldn't say it's only our space. It's the whole banking industry. If you have a look at, you realize that liquidity has been on the burner for some time now, and confidence in the markets has also not been the best, even though those who really understand where we are going as an industry, their confidence is okay and is being building up, but majority of the populace, we believe that it will take some time, but confidence is one critical thing. And you see, with all these things too, it's also affected loan performance, because people who hitherto were paying their loans on time now are no longer paying. And so the inflow from the deposit side is affected. The inflow from loan repayment is also affected. And of course, shareholders too, some of them too are not very sure with what's going to happen tomorrow to the various sectors after the regulator said is done with the commercial banks. Now the non-commercial banks, the shareholders are skeptical. What actually are they going to do? And so people hitherto who were going to put in money or certain business transactions which were going to come through are now waiting. They are sitting on the fence waiting to hear from what the regulator will want to do. But we are very confident.
Akofa, is there a similar thing with the microfinance?
Generally, yes, but it's also a season of being innovative. You know, in every challenge there are opportunities. So the general knowledge is there that there are liquidity challenges, but it has given us the opportunity to be innovative, to think of other way of doing business that previously we're not looking at. So generally there are fears that people will lose money. And I say with confidence that in the banking sanitization, nobody lost money.
Yeah.
So I don't know how people got the impression that they are going to lose money once Bank of Ghana comes to our side. So there are a lot of opportunities there. These situations are making us more innovative. So I would say that the general public will need to support us because, look, the whole of last year, as TK said, there has been so many trainings. Microfinance sector, MISIP has been training, Bank of Ghana has been training, GAMSI and GAMFIN have been training, other institutions, Jira Microfinance, we had grants from SDF to do training. There has been a lot of capacity that has been improved. So the society, Ghanaian society can only expect the best from these institutions and give us time to conform to the standards that are required. It's not a bad case.
There are already speculations that, you know, savings and loans companies as well as other finance houses will be required to up their stated capital. What would this mean for your industry if indeed the central bank goes ahead with this directive?
Anyway, there hasn't been any such directive. There hasn't been any formal communication between any of the parties, which actually means that the regulator has not decided on anything yet. But of course, capitalization is good for any regulated industry. Of course, if you look at Basel 2 and 3, it requires that your capital should match with the risk that you want to take on. And so if you want to take on a higher risk as business, which risk is good, then there is every need for you to up your game. And of course, there are certain tickets of transactions that you have to match it with your capital. And so we do not see capitalization as an issue.
Already there are about 37 companies operating within the savings and loan space. Is this likely to lead to measures, acquisitions, shutdowns, if indeed you're asked to up your stated capital?
Of course, if anything that happened in the commercial bank is a reflection of the Ghanaian society. And so we do not expect anything extraordinary different from what happened in the commercial banking space. So I have also seen some kind of talks among some SNLs trying to merge or trying to do certain businesses together. And we believe that when it becomes necessary for institutions to merge, they will merge. When it becomes necessary for them to bring in fresh capital, they will do so. But it's all boils down to, which I've always been asking, what is the rationale behind an institution, a microfinancing, that the microfinance should operate with a certain capital, a savings and loan should operate with a certain capital. We should agree on the clear business model that we will want them to take and the kind of risk that we want them to take, considering the whole economy together. So,
but that's always been the argument for even the central banks, commercial banks, that it should be risk-based.
Yes.
People should be forced to up their capital necessarily because they need to transact engage in big ticket transactions, hasn't it?
Yes, but in this case we have minimum capital. We have minimum requirements. So it's not that a savings and loan cannot say that I want to take lower risk, so I want to have a minimum capital of 2 million. So yes, the room is there, but there are caps
So, I mean, going forward, how prepared are these financial institutions for whatever cleanup that the central bank intends to embark on? Akofa, I don't know if you want to start.
Well, from the microfinance perspective, I know a lot of us have registered the minimum 2 million, and a lot more are working towards getting the 2 million. There are few that are well managed but cannot raise the 2 million. We've been to central bank many times to negotiate to see if they can be allowed to operate with their model. But Bank of Ghana has also given us options, like the measures and acquisitions. I mean, all those ones are being discussed currently. We met the governor and the deputy some time ago, and there have been talks, and talks are ongoing. So these institutions that are well managed but do not have the capital, there are considerations of trying to put them together so that they can become strong institutions and serve the Ghanaian populace, because these are critical institutions. You cannot do away with microfinance, because the hairdresser is there, the shoemaker is there, the cocoa seller is there, the coconut seller is there, and it will surprise you. I don't know whether it will be right at this point to say, the last time National Association of Beauticians and Hairdressers, they had a congress on Legon campus. We have 1,600 women coming together, meeting. There was no bank, but we're there as a microfinance. So the microfinance service sector has its clear mandate and people to serve, and everything that must happen for this sector to improve, I think Ghana must do.
We're going to take a short break, but when we return, I'll find out from you if this whole cleanup within the savings and loans industry is likely to also lead to interest rate cuts. It's been a major subject, within the microfinance and savings and loans space, that interest rates are pretty much high. We're being told that in the banking industry, for instance, we're likely to see interest rates go down. Will this also likely happen in your case? You want to answer that for me?
Why not?
You see, generally, we're going to see an interest rate going down, but you don't expect it to happen immediately. But of course, it takes a number of things that goes into computation of interest rates. One, you have to look at what is the risk rating of the economy. If you look at the Ghana reference rate currently is around 16 point something.
You mean the economy?
Yes.
You mean the sovereign?
So that is the basic one. And so if anybody will want to do any investment, he is looking at more than that 16 points, I think 16.6 or 16.4 the last time. And so that becomes the base. Then they will look at their risk premium, which has to do with what is the default rate in the markets. The default rate also has a direct correlation with also how the economy is also performing. Two, has something to do with the culture or how people react to certain things. And so with all these things, we believe that going forward, and when these operators have also become better in what they do, and as Akofa rightly said, that they've built their capacity over the period, especially when this reform process started. And so now people or managers of the various financial institutions have become far better in managing risk. And so they appreciate it better than yesterday, which of course will feed into what they'll do. The next thing has to do with customer-focused product and consumer protection, that you need to also pay attention to your customers, paying attention to their needs, designing products that are specific, addressing their needs. So with all these things, and also the interbank rate is also dropping, and seeing government not borrowing too much from the economy, if these things are sustained, then you might expect that interest rates will come down.
Let me give you the final word on the way forward.
I think that Ghana is yet to experience the best of microfinance and savings services in Ghana. We are about to see the best, because it's true that we needed to up our capitals so that we have more money to do more business. And it's also true that we need to sanitize our system, get our governance structures done properly. raise money from appropriate places, develop the best products, and that is what we are doing now. One other thing that is required is that it is time for Ghanaians to really understand what the financial services sector is about. Most people think that, it's just about taking money from one end and giving to the other. But the management bit is what they don't understand. So with this general knowledge about what is happening in the sector, I think it's a good thing that we are having to increase our capital and improve our system. What is left is that we need to understand what we need to do as Ghanaians, as all stakeholders. Regulators are there, the media, you are here, the customers are there, our shareholders are there, investors, everybody will need to understand what the system is and what needs to be done to sustain the businesses.
I've got to say a big thank you to lady and gentleman, Akofa Ahiafo, a senior member, Chartered Institute of Bankers, and also Trinidad Kodia, who is director of the Association of Savings and Loans Companies. Thank you very much, lady and gentlemen, for joining me in studio. We'll take a short break. When we return, we'll bring you the Mover segment, and tonight we'll hear the story of Millicent Abatete and Mamiya Ifria Samwa, who are into the sale of food online. They've got some pretty interesting stories to share with us right here on the Mover segment on Business Focus.
Food vendors usually position themselves at vantage points to sell, with some carrying on their heads in order to expand their customer base. Some carry the food from house to house to sell. Fast forward into today's highly technological world, a lot is changing. Most entrepreneurs are gradually venturing into the foodstuff and food markets, using social media as a tool to market their services. Millicent, a graduate of the Ghana Institute of Journalism, after taking a course in branding products and services, decided to take a mother's tabletop foodstuff market to a higher level. This, she said, was to help promote her mother's business, which was basically focused on serving walk-in customers.
I sat and realized that, okay, my mom sells at the market where we are now. What if there's a form of delivery service attached to it so that we'll make life easy for clients who usually walk in to buy? So people will order and then we package and deliver to them nicely. After all, we are all busy.
She receives orders from people each day requesting for a variety of foodstuffs at each point in time.
Usually, service charge depends on the quantity of items you're ordering for, the quantity, the location where you find yourself, and then also the immediateness of how you want it. So we look at all this before we give you the charge.
According to her, online marketing has been very good, as sales have shot up to about 50%.
If you were catering for only walk-in clients and you are making 100 cedis a day, and then you decide to deliver to people who are home, plus those who walk in, I'm sure the number will change in business.
Interestingly, Millicent's colleagues in the markets are not throwing roses at her, as they feel threatened owing to the number of customers she receives. She's not the only person taking advantage. Mamiya Ifria, also a graduate of GIJ, quit her job as a marketing advisor in the firm to start her food business.
Before I even went to learn how to make cakes, it was just because I wanted to do it for the house. I didn't really plan to sell my cakes. But then a friend tried my cake, and the next birthday, she asked me the price of my cake. Initially, I was not even selling them. I was just giving out to friends to just taste it and let me know their feedback before I even marketed my whole product. But then with time, they were all saying it was good, so I should just price them.
Mamiya loves cooking on a daily basis and prepares various dishes for her clients and charges based on a kilo of food she prepares. Regrets has never been part of her food journey story and hopes to start a restaurant soon.
When you are doing certain things, you feel like you're not really into this per se. So You just want to do what you really feel like doing. And that was what I felt back then. And compared to what I was feeling now and then today, I feel I made a very, very good decision by leaving.
Clearly, it appears the online food business has not only made the lives of the working class easy, but has also created jobs for many. For the millions of Ghanaians who love to sell foodstuffs but are unable to sit under an umbrella in the markets, social media is fast becoming an option. Need I say more? Ajwa Adubia Ogusu, TV3.
Right, very, very interesting. Those were our movers for this week, Millicent Abatete and Mamiya Friye Asamoah, who are into online food sale. We'll now go for the Entrepreneur's Corner. Well, that's how we conclude this week's edition of Business Focus, your weekly business and economic analysis program. Thanks very much for watching. We stream live on Facebook. We're going to go now for the news at 7 with Natalie and Alfredo Kanse. God willing, same time next week, we come your way with yet another edition of your favorite program, Business Focus. Take care.